All right, so for today, we're going to be looking at two different angles. We've already introduced it. However, we're going to put some mathematical names to it. We've been looking at exterior angles, interior angles, vertical angles. But today, we're going to be looking at two different types of angles. So our learning intention states that we are learning to solve for unknown angles. That is focusing on standard 8G4. And then down here for success criteria, there are two things on there. The first one says, I will be successful when I can, suppose to say can, write equations involving complementary and supplementary angles. And the other one states that I will be successful when I can solve complementary and supplementary angles. After we go through that, then we'll do some Desmos activity. And then we will do some questions. All right, so the first one we're going to look at is complementary angles. Does anyone have any idea what this is? When we talk about complementary angles, it talks about two angles adding up to equal 90 degrees. All right, when we talk about complementary angles, we talk about two angles adding up to equal 90 degrees. So, for example, if I say one angle is, I'm using that sign to represent an angle. So I'm saying angle M is equal to 45 degrees, but I say it's complementary to angle L, then both these angles added up together should equal 90. So this one would be 45 as well. Let's do another example. If there is an angle L, and that one is equal to 70 degrees, and if both angles together should equal to 90 degrees, and they tell me that angle Z is complementary to angle L, then angle Z is 20 degrees. So let's put this in a different form. So what if I have that right there, and you know what that means, 90 degrees, right? And if I draw a line in between, and I say that this angle right here is 33 degrees. So then the question is, what is X? These two angles are complementary, right? So if I'm trying to find what X is, I need to figure out what number can X be so that when I add it to 33, it equals to 90. I could do this two ways. One of the ways that I want to do it though is by writing an equation. So if I should write this in equation format, how would I do that? How would I write this as an equation? So if I was supposed to write this as an equation, it would be, I'm gonna just, what you said, X plus 33 equals 90. Because if I add both of them, they should equal to 90. Now I have to figure out what X is. In order to do that, we go back to one of the first things we learned. We talked about the additive inverse. So we minus 33 on both sides. So then we have X is equal to 57. So X right here is 57. If I add 57 and 33, they equal to 90. So these two angles are complementary. I could also ask you, what's the complement of 33? Of the angle 33 degrees. then the answer would be 57 degrees. That's complementary angles. So now if we're looking at, let's just extend this a little bit further. I want to see how we'd write this equation. If I have an angle, say this is 90, bam. But I say this right here is 2x plus 3. And this right here is 34. And I say both angles are complementary. Find x, but then also find what the angle is. What would be the equation for this one? Recording. So if I'm going to solve this one, as first, if I want to write the equation first, it's 2x plus 3, that angle, plus this angle is equal to 90. Does that make sense? So then we just simplify like we normally do. 2x plus 37 equals 90. And then we have to do the additive inverse, minus 37 minus 37. Whatever you do on one side, you got to do it on the other side. So now we have 2x equals 53. And then now I divide both sides by 2. So x is equal to 26.5. So x is equal to 26.5. Now I have to take x. If I want to find what this angle is right here, I have to take x.
Your 53 has to be 56.
All I have to do is put x, put 26.5 where x is. So instead of putting x right here, I put 26.5. So 2 times 26.5 is 53, and then 53 plus 3 is 56. So my answer for this one is 56. The next one we're going to look at is called supplementary angles. So complementary is when two angles equal to 90. Supplementary angles is when our angles add up to equal 180 degrees. Similar. It's just that complementary is 90, supplementary is 180. So basically, the angles on a straight line should add up to equal to that 180. Okay. For example, this is the 180, right? But say I have two angles. This one right here is, say, 45. 135. So if two angles are supplementary, they both add up to equal to 180 degrees. Two angles are supplementary, they add up to equal 180 degrees. So if I give you a question and I say this right here is 120, what is this? What is x? Resume recording. X is 60. So if I want to write this in an equation format, it would be x plus 120 equals 180, right? And then I'd do minus 120 minus 120, x is equal to 60. Let's look at this question. First, I want to see how you'd write the equation for this. All right, so say for instance, I have 30, and then on this side, it's 2x. What would the equation be? If I was writing an equation for this, what would it be? For this one, it would be 2x plus 30 equals 180. Okay? So then, if I have my equation, then all I got to do is find what x is. All right, so for here, minus 30 on both sides. So 2x is equal to 150. So x is equal to 75. I just I divided it by x is equal to 75. Now if I want to find what this angle is up here, I just put 75 where x is. So this angle right here is 150. And it makes sense because they both add up to be 180 and they are supplementary angles. I can make this a little bit different. Let's say this angle is 2y plus 3 and this angle is 3y minus 15. What be the equation for this one? This one, if I'm writing out the equation, it's 2y plus 3 plus 3y minus 15 equals 180. All that is equal to 180. Now I have to group my like terms and simplify and everything. So if I'm going to group my like terms, I'm going to have 2y plus 3y plus 3 minus 15 equals 180. All I did was rearrange it so that the y's could be together and everything else is together. So this ends up being 5y minus 12 equals 180. Now I have to add 12 to both sides. So 5y is equal to 192. And then I have to divide both sides by 5. So y is equal to 38 with the remainder 2/5. So that's what y is equal to. So if I really want to find what my angle is, so sometimes they'll ask you what is the value of the variable. So then we'll leave our answers like this. But sometimes they'll ask us what are the actual angles. So then I have to take my y value and put it back into the equations up here. All right, so I'd have to do 2 times 38 and 2/5 plus 3, and 3 times 38 and 2/5 minus 15. And then you'll get the values for that. I just wanted us to go through, we're not going to go through and solve for the angles right now, but this is how we kind of form equations when we're dealing with complementary and supplementary angles. All right, we already know that complementary angles equal 90 and supplementary angles equal 180. So when you put them together and we put in some unknown variables, we could formulate some equations. Okay.